Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Cape Town and to the first youth panel that we will be having at the ISF World Seed Congress. And today with me, I have a lovely young panel, young professionals in the seed industry. And we are just going to discuss a bit what is needed in the seed industry for young people, but also for the leaders of the seed industry to really understand what young people are looking for. So I would like to introduce you to my panel today. First on my left, I have Chikomborero, Chiobvu, and she is currently working as an analyst at an impact investment operations. And next to her, I have Fihliwe, Kubeka, and she is a seed. Started her career as a seed analyst, moved over to research, and is now currently in sales and marketing. And lastly, I have Jandri, which is an account manager and technical advisor in a seed company. Thank you, everybody, and welcome to this panel. And I hope today we can also just, as a young group of people, talk to the seed industry and just explain what makes us passionate about being in the seed industry. So I would like to start off with you, Chico. What do you feel attracts the younger generation to the agricultural industry? What do we really care about, and what do you care about?
I mean, in my case, what brought me into the industry was just genuine curiosity. I just had curiosity and love for the food industry, especially in areas of human, social, and economic development. And I like to laugh and say that my story started in the kitchen. I wanted to go to culinary school, but I was like, wait, how do we get to the ingredients in the kitchen? And that's where I developed an interest in knowing the value chain, knowing how food goes from a seed to what we get to enjoy as cooks. And I then studied agribusiness management, and it all came from that curiosity and that drive. But what I find oftentimes drives young people, and speaking for myself and my peers, is mostly sustainability. Do we know if the initiatives in the industry are they looking at the future? And with agriculture, that's one of the most beautiful thing. People always need to eat, and the future needs to eat. So there's that element of sustainability, but most so these days we're looking into ensuring that there's a human sustainability, there's economic sustainability, and above all, environmental sustainability. And I think also what I've noticed, seeing a lot of young people from other industries gravitating towards agriculture, has been technological advancements. And I'm talking research and development, precision farming, the use of drones. I mean, the first time I saw what a drone could do, I was like, this is brilliant. And I've seen a lot more tech companies looking into agriculture, and a lot of the times they're youth-led. Above all, entrepreneurship and innovation. Being in Africa, the opportunities that are there for innovation and entrepreneurship in agriculture are vast. And a lot of the times, if you look closely, you find young people wanting to invest more. I'm early in my career, and I'd say quite early, and I've already seen the potential and how I can influence and impact in areas of entrepreneurship and innovation. So I think to wrap up my story, I'll definitely say sustainable ways of being innovative have driven young people.
Thanks so much, and I can really say that I can feel the passion that you have for agriculture. And Fee, so I want to start there. Do you think it's possible to cultivate a passion for agriculture?
Firstly, wow, what a time we are in as young people to be given such platform. Most definitely. You can cultivate your passion, but first of all, you need to understand what is agriculture. You can't cultivate what you don't know. Agriculture plays a huge role in our economy and the social development on its own. So once you understand that, you start to wonder. Your basic is there. You start to have a network. You start to look at the leaders that are already there. Mm-hmm. The foundation for us is there. It's up to us to start to network, continuous learning. The industry is changing day by day. Are you relevant? You start to look. There's challenges climatical. There's challenges in the seed industry. So be curious in order for yourself to cultivate that passion. You can't be tapping in something that happened 10 years ago. Are you aware what is happening in your industry now? Are you aware of the challenges? Can you address it as a youngster? Do you have a mentor to cultivate that love? Do you have a mentor that is going to guide you? Or are you having a gap of not looking and say, oh, there are the people who have been there before. Let me follow so I can cultivate. Be relevant. Don't detach yourself to the industry, because then that time you'll say, there is no opportunity, there's nothing interesting in agriculture because you are not exposing yourself. You're not attending webinars that are being called. So I will urge to say, in order to cultivate the love that you have for agriculture and the seed industry, remain relevant, network. I cannot say more than that, and understand what is happening. That's the most important thing. Thank you.
Thanks. That sounds, yes, that's great. And Jandri, to continue with what Fee said there, as a young person starting out in the seed industry, what was the most difficult thing for you when starting out, and what you can advise the young generation to work on, but also our leaders at what things they have to consider that was difficult for a young person to get into the seed industry in?
Yes, thank you, Magdaleen. It speaks to a subject I'm very passionate about. I started in the agricultural sector in a very young age, and some of the hurdles I needed to face is I was usually the youngest person within the company, and to being respected within the industry was a struggle for me. But the good news and the advice I would give to the younger generations is really the agricultural sector in whole values experience above everything else, and emphasis on experience. It's the rewards of doing the work and actually putting in the time is immense. So it's the one industry, if you really put everything into it, and the more experience you gain, it's going to reward you in that way. So also additionally, at getting involved within the mentors within your company, and really use the wealth of knowledge they have, and start to choose a mentor and really follow them and get involved in your company.
Being present and being there, networking, taking every opportunity you can.
Yes.
That's what you have to do if you want to get into the seed industry.
Exactly.
So Fee, can you tell us a bit, when it comes to retaining talent, in any company it's difficult to retain talent, especially young people. Young people are easy to move from company to company. As a leader of young people, but also in the seed industry, can you tell us what is a way that the leaders of seed companies can retain talent of young people? What makes a young person stay there?
I will start with one. Pay them well, according to the industry. But why will you be paid well and your mental health is not okay? So you're going to take that money and attend to your mental issues. The company needs to retain the talent by ensuring the culture and the values of the company is taking care of the young ones. And apart from that, I think when we started the industry, there was succession plan. If someone doesn't leave the company, it means you're not growing. So I will refer to Enza. We have a program whereby the performance is now, we're no more looking at you got 3, you got 5, you didn't perform, but Great to Grow. We've got a program of Great to Grow. You are developing yourself more than being scored according to your performance. So companies need to invest in retaining the talent by developing them. Apart from that, of the development within the company, take your youngsters to upgrade them, a continuous learning, allow them to learn. And then, again, it comes back to saying, you can't just retain someone who cannot be retained. It's very important that. So, retain a talent that you've invested in it, and you pay well, and is in a mental side whereby it's a healthy one. Because we often overlook the mental side of the company. Culture and value goes a long way in retaining talent nowadays, and ensure that you become relevant. Mentorship, it's needed in company. The youngsters are ready to be led, maintain them. It's very amazing when you get to a place where saying, this person has been here for 15 years. You tend to look, because you understand that you're going to grow. So if you don't want a corner table, now we have issues whereby youngsters are given a corner table. Allow them, lead them. They are the generation tomorrow that will take food security to another level. Invest in the younger generation to retain talent within the company. They are not of a corner office.
Great. I really enjoyed when you said you need mental mentoring. I think in that is actually eye-opening for me to hear that, because I think we always think of in our industry, you need to be mentored for the actual work. That's of course very important. You have to learn that, but the handling yourself and knowing how to understand certain situations, emotional intelligence, all of that things that young people are really focused on and really wants to get out of their job environment.
That's correct.
So Jandri, you have been in the industry for a bit of a shorter period. What makes you stay at a company?
Yes, my circumstances led to, I have a big dream to make a sustainable difference within the agricultural sector. And Rijk Zwaan gives me that unique opportunities to give me the platform to make that difference. And we have the same shared values and mission. And their involvement in food sustainability and the rural development just fits me greatly. Also working with a board of directors that really believes in you. I think sometimes they see more potential in myself in me than I see in myself, and they constantly push me out of my comfort zone, and I think that's where I grow immensely. So the support I'm giving getting is what keeping me at the company where I'm currently at.
And feeling challenged the whole time.
Yes,
They're
exactly.
challenging you, and that's great. So Chico, you're a woman in agriculture. Can you tell us what skills do you feel a woman in agriculture needs to make it in this business?
Well, as I'm in the early stages of my career, starting to really get an understanding of where I would want to be, I found that being able to communicate. And with this, I mean communicate what you're capable of doing. A lot of the times you hear, let your work speak for itself, and that is absolutely true. But it's important that you make sure people know, it's like, I have done this, and have something to back it up to say, this is what I've achieved, and this is how much more I could do with you in your organization. And I think that allows you to stand apart from the rest, because oftentimes I think you want to just sit at the back, let your work, do your work, let it speak, but be bold enough to say, this is what I've done. I've also learned the importance of being flexible. Agriculture is not a monolith. It's quite vast and expansive. Know the industry, if you can, from farm to table, because all of the different sectors work together. I like to think of it this way. If you're working in supply chain management, it's important that you understand the seed varieties that are there, because all of it has an impact and an influence on how cold storage operates. Or if you're working with livestock, know the grain industry. I mean, in my case, I'm working for an investment company, and oftentimes but you studied agriculture. Well, how does that work together? During my time there, I've learned how financial instruments can be used to invest in agricultural businesses and in farms in ways that I would have never thought of. And I think that's an important skill to have. Always, I think Fee mentioned it beautifully, always be willing and eager to learn. Know your industry. And I'm not saying be an absolute professional, just know as much as you can. And I try to take that opportunity to sit down and say, okay, what's happening now in the citrus industry? What's happening in grain? And I think now more than ever, mentorship. As women, we need mentors, because you're allowed to be given the right guidance, and you're given a lot of career advice that helps you to map out where you want to be. You know where you want to be as a young woman. I mean, I have ideas of where I want to be, but you need someone who can then help you and say, let's activate it in this way. So above all, communicate your ability. You are a lot more capable than you know, and be able to share that. Be flexible. Know the industry. Know what's out there. You'll become an asset more than you could ever imagine. And get a mentor.
And if you have to now say one thing to yourself as a little girl when you were a young girl, and to say how your career progressed, what is the one thing you will say to that little girl?
I think right now I'm going to say the world is willing to see the amazing things you're going to do. Put yourself out there.
That's great, thanks. Thanks, Jandri. What are the skills that you felt you were lacking when you came into the industry, agriculture industry? Yes. What was the things that you thought, I really am struggling with this, I wish I knew this at an earlier age?
For me, coming from a growing background and starting in the seed industry, there was certainly some skills that I thought need improving, and one of them being really learning how to work with people and to work with different personality types, because we have responsibility to portray knowledge and to give technical advice to different types of growers, and there's different types of ways to working with different types of personalities. And really having that people skills, and you just touch on it, and having that emotional intelligence to really, because it's a more depth than just the technical aspects of the agriculture, but to learn how to work with people, and also to become a good listener as well. Because sometimes you have a message you want to portray, and you're so eager to get over that message, you'll forget to really go back and listen, and that made a big difference in the way I'm servicing my clients. Is really because they need to felt heard and understood, and that's very important. That's something I also advice I would give to someone just starting in the seed industry, is just to take a step back and really understand the challenges the farmers are facing, because at the end of the day we need to be of added value to the farmers, and learning that gave me that opportunity to really be of added value.
Yeah, I think just actually listening what problems are,
Yes.
listening to your fellow colleagues in the seed business, and you can really learn a lot from each other. And I think sometimes we want to go out there and think we know, we have to know everything before you start. But just learning from each other and listening what's really needed is very important.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Sophie,
Hi.
you are a young person, but if you are now looking for other young people to join your team, what is it that what is that in that other young people that you would look for?
Magdaleen, these days we are facing a very huge challenge in the youngsters. They've got qualifications. Yes, you've got your master's. Yes, you've got your PhD. But do you have a character? Do you have a character? Do you have the drive? Yes, you graduated with your cum laude. Well done. But do you have what it takes? The micromanagement is gone. It's a thing of the past. We've faced COVID. There's no one now prepared to babysit you day to day. So I just want to say, anyone now who wants to get to the industry, you need to have the love. You need to have the drive. You need to understand the food security's challenges. Above all, have the character. Have the character that is going to sustain you until you are at that age of 65 years, because agriculture is not an overnight job. It's not a fix. It's a character that you're going to leave the legacy for the next generation. So I just want to say to the youngsters, when you are looking for that job, check your character very carefully. Your marks doesn't, it gives you the opportunity to the door, but what is going to sustain you in any company, it's your character, it's your drive. Micromanagement is a thing of the past, youth. No one is going to hold your hand. Get in there and be the driver, and have a skill to listen. You know, with the challenge, I would like to talk about this challenge, whereby you hire a youngster, will come and tell you about the theoretical, have a skill to listen, learn, have a spirit of learning and unlearning. It's not all about learning. Sometimes you need to unlearn certain things. So I will encourage the youngsters that are going to get into this industry. The foundation for us has been laid. If you can go around here, the foundation is there. It's up to us how we continue with this legacy in the food industry.
I think I want to ask one question to any of you, one that would like to answer. During COVID, lots of the young people were at home, and they finished their studies at home, and they really lacked that social environment where they can go out and meet different people, and they felt a bit closed inside. And now when they are in the working environment, they are almost as if they became shy to put themselves out there, because for 2 years they only looked at people on screens, and they had themselves and their parents and maybe a few family members to talk to. What would you say for them to get back that drive and that courage to go out and just network with a lot of people? Any of you, what suggestions do you have? Chico.
So I'll say during COVID, I attended a lot of webinars, but what added value to that is what happens afterwards. You connect and you network with people. Yes, unfortunately, a lot of it had to be digital, but that's how you build relationships. By the time the world opened up, it was easy to go back to those networks and those people you met, say, hi, would you like to meet for a cup of coffee? So not necessarily closing yourself out, but for those that did, now's the time. A lot of we have opportunities to interact in person. Put yourself out there. It seems quite intimidating to go on LinkedIn, find that one person that you really want to speak to and send them a message. But one thing I like to say that if you never try, you'll never know. You'd be quite surprised. The industry is receptive and wants to mentor, wants to guide, and wants to be there for the future generation. Just try your luck. You'd be quite surprised how many people and how many really high up people want to hear what you have to say and to almost like guide you through your journey.
Yes.
It comes back to the comfort zone I quickly talked about just now. And the thing is to really put yourself out of your comfort zone, because that's where most of the growth happens. And you will also, I agree with you, you'll be surprised about the influence you can actually have. Because I think we are always quick to think less of ourselves, and as soon as you go out there and you start having these interactions, you'll be surprised about the influence you actually have in the sector and how you can make a difference and be of added value into a sector. Because we've done the work and we've got the experience. There's still a lot of experience we still need to obtain, but we can make a difference, and that's why it's so important just to go out there, and you'll be surprised what you see.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So Chico, I want to ask you another question. You are a chairperson of the board of Farmers Scheme. I'm going to give you an opportunity to explain to us what this entails. And as far as I know, there's also another farmer scheme that you are involved in. And you have, in this, you are on a chairperson of a board of director, you have a leadership role, but you're still very young. But if you look back in retrospect, where you are now, you have this leadership role. What would you tell yourself to do differently or to do the same, perhaps? But also you can just expand a bit on your role in this as a chairperson.
So I'm currently the board of the Mulimi Farmers Scheme, looking at their internship program. And I joined this I'm only 24, and I joined this board at 22. And oftentimes you're thinking, I'm so young, what could I possibly add value? But what was the sweet spot of my position is my understanding of where young people are coming from straight out of university, and then being able to contribute that on the board to say, okay, so now we know the gaps that young people have, and therefore creating a program that caters to those gaps that young people have. And I'm currently on the young board of the International Food and Agribusiness Management Association, and what we do is ensuring that we bring academia and young people together with industry, bridging that gap so that there's an understanding of the research done, but also an understanding of what they need in talent and what they as employers need in employees, and vice versa. And I think looking back at it, I always laugh and say, you're so young, and when you look at your CV, it looks quite intimidating. But the beauty of that is there's so much more I have yet to learn. And when I go back to young self, I'm like, keep networking. I think at times you network, you exchange business cards, but ask yourself, what happens to the business card when you're done? Do you call the people back? I'll tell myself, call more people than you called, because the industry, we always laugh and say it's quite small. It's small in that everyone knows everyone. So the benefit of that is when you stand up and you're willing to learn, and you've got a learning spirit, and you've got that passion, people get to see that, and you get to position yourself so beautifully as a potential. I mean, I'm standing here saying I'm young. I could do amazing things with your team. Give me that chance. And that's one thing I believe, if you're young and we have the beauty of time. Put yourself out there. I think we're sounding a bit like we're echoing each other, but that's just how serious it is. When you don't put yourself out there, people won't find you. Be visible.
Sophie, you started off and saying it's the great time to be young. We are all young here. And how do you feel in a situation like this, where it's a big conference, it's an international federation, and there's lots of people here that you can learn from, you can meet, but what do you feel young people can bring to an international organization and a conference like this, which would not be here if the young people weren't here?
Often we find youngsters in such conferences giving out water, showing direction. I get worried. I say let's involve them, whereby there is a diversity. We need to diversify now the panel now. We need to give them the opportunities whereby their mentors, even if it's not the same company, they share the platform, more than just being around rotating with a kind of, they don't know what to do and what to belong. So let them be involved so that they can learn, because tomorrow we don't know what it holds for us. So let's make sure that in any panel, in any conversation, we diversify them. We put them in so that you can hold them by hand. Tomorrow, there will be the panel. So once we have such panels whereby, if we can look, there's different rooms, involve them. They may have 2 years of experience, but there's something they want to share. There is something they want to express. There's this technology they have in mind. There's this innovation they have in mind. Let's involve them. They want to be involved.
Thanks so much. I'm Jandri. I want to start there with you, and I want to ask all of you this question. But can you use a one-liner for a motivation for people entering the industry?
Yes, the thing is, share your true message. This is an amazing platform you all given us to really have a lasting, sustainable impact in the agricultural sector. And if you get the opportunity, really use it to your advantage, because what we are doing here can, at the end of the day, be of value to the farmer. And at the end of the day, the farmer's success are our success. And use that opportunity wisely.
Fee, I think I'll go over to you. Same thing, one-liner for young industry entrants.
I want to say the future is now. I don't think there's any future. The future is now. Act now, occupy the space. Now we are handing over to you, youngsters. Take charge. We are trusting you. You are being trusted. There's nothing else more than to say the future generation, it's now. It's not tomorrow. It's not in the next 10 years. So welcome to the industry. We are waiting for your input. We are waiting for that technology that is going to solve the issues that we are facing in this. We are waiting for that innovation that is going to be a breakthrough to the disease that we are facing, the climatic changes that are happening. We are waiting for that fresh mind. Welcome.
And you, Chico?
Hey, after this, I just want to say we're here. As young people, we are here. We are ready. Put that trust in us and believe that we will carry this industry in ways that you could never imagine.
And then I want to ask one last question. I think I'm going to ask it to you, Chico. There's lots of CEOs here, lots of MDs and managers. What do you want them to know about young people here today, but also young people coming into the industry, ready to work?
Yeah. I want them to know that, and I think it's quite a beautiful wrap-up of what we've had, is trust the young generation. We want to learn from what you have done. You've built this industry to such a beautiful place, and we want you to trust us and guide us to taking it where it needs to be.
Thank you so much. And as for our whole audience, people online, you can see that the young generation is ready for the seed industry. We are ready for agriculture, and we have lots of energy, and you just have to utilize that energy. Everybody is here and ready for us. Thank you very much, and thank you to all my panelists.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Magdaleen.
Stop!